Hello everyone. And that's a quick recap of the movie, The Education of Charlie Banks. Enjoy. Local residents gathered to watch black guys playing basketball. The boys on the bus were also in awe of these professionals. But now their attention was drawn to Mick Leary. Already at 10 years old, he had a bad reputation. A bully could brutally beat up a peer, simply for an unsuccessful graffiti. Charlie wondered, how can someone be so cruel? Mick Leary terrorized several New York neighborhoods for a long time. Some time passed, the boys grew up and ran into each other at a party. Mick met a curly-haired nerd and left another graffiti in the bathroom. Friend of Dennis, my friend. I don't write on walls. Mick laughed at this mama's boy and continued to mess around in someone else's house. Two healthy athletes came in and demanded that he get lost. They needed to take a leak. Mick refused, so they called the troublemaker outside to talk. Suddenly Mick called the shy Charlie along. He took off his gold chain and without further ado, finished off both athletes. The thug didn't stop there. Next, he started wielding an empty beer bottle and delivered the final kick. Now you've had it. All the guys were shocked by such brutality, including Charlie. Nerd, that's what I'll call you. Charlie can't get what he saw out of his head. He reported it to the police. Thanks to his testimony, Mick will likely be sent to jail. The hooligan is charged with attempted murder. Both guys are in critical condition. Plus, he has a whole bunch of cases hanging over him. You did a brave thing. You should be proud of yourself. Soon Mick was arrested. Days his and Charlie's mutual friend, and while the criminal spent his entire childhood in boarding schools, Days, on the other hand, grew up in a wealthy family. If they find out who ratted on Mick, that rat better not show his face. He's screwed. I don't care that Mickey almost killed the athletes, but he's a cool guy. Charlie freaked out and immediately ran to take back his testimony. The prosecutor tried to convince Charlie he was doing the wrong thing, but Curly had already made up his mind. His father was also disappointed in him because of his son. The prosecutor's office dropped the case. Mick got off with just 3 weeks of detention. You can have the best intentions, but if you don't back them up with actions, they're meaningless, the man concluded. Charlie stayed off the street for 2 years, just in case, to avoid crossing paths with Mick, and then went to college there. A new life began. The friends now only care about books and girls, or rather only girls. At college they met a rich guy, Leo, and his two girlfriends, Mary and Nia, a Greek girl. Mia was married off before she was born to the son of a millionaire, but Mary was single and she and Charlie exchanged glances all evening. The next day the guy stopped by their dorm. Quote, "What are you doing now?" Quote, "I'm reading Mac in the original." Charlie was hoping to treat Mary to schnitzel, but she had turned him down for now. Nevertheless, the student was in a good mood until he returned to his room and saw Mick Leary, the same scumbag he almost sent to jail. The criminal was passing through. He was planning to stay with friends for a couple of days. The main thing was that he didn't have time to do any mischief. In that time, Charlie got nervous and wanted to run to the bar. What do you know how much your parents pay for your studies? Mick ordered the nerd to sit down and finish his homework. To the bar. Charlie wanted to keep the scumbag away from their company, but Daisy decided to introduce them. Leo has no idea how dangerous this guy is. Mick almost killed the drunken weirdo, but Leo managed to smooth things over. The bully started hitting on girls. Charlie never knew how to talk to them like that. On the way home, Mick asked if this Mary had a boyfriend and Charlie lied that he did. The bully didn't understand half the words he heard from the educated girl. After all, he didn't even study properly in school. Mick can't sleep at night. Antisocial behavior. It turns out they write books about me. Go to bed, I beg you. Charlie, for obvious reasons, also has insomnia in the morning. He escaped the room, but Mick found him and invited him to sit next to Mary. The girl invited them to look at her photographs. Charlie appreciated them and compared them to the works of famous photographers. Mick also had something to say. Who are these jerks, ordinary people? Mick offered to take a photo of him and Charlie, and took the opportunity to beat him up and strangle him once again. He doesn't give the student any peace during basketball practice either. Mick challenged Curly to a one-on-one match, and Charlie beat him to the punch. The bully didn't like that. They were just studying the book The Banality of Evil in class. The teacher asked for examples of similar phenomena. Snitchies because they're traitors. A snitch simply complicates even the simplest task. Now Charlie became even more tense. They struck up a conversation, and the student asked a couple of questions about Mick's difficult childhood. He grabbed Charlie by the throat but quickly came to his senses. The tension between them was growing. Charlie even told the bully to off that evening. Mary asked him about their new acquaintance, but Charlie wasn't eager to talk about that jerk. Meanwhile, Leo dressed Mick in his expensive clothes. No one would have guessed about what? That you're not the son of rich people from Connecticut. After the fitting, Mick unexpectedly had a nice chat with Charlie and taught him how to bluff well. During a game of poker on the way to the dorm, Mick disappeared into an alley to take a leak. It was probably no coincidence that he did so, just as a police car drove by. Before bed, Charlie saw Mick touching expensive clothes. He had never owned anything like them. In the morning, Charlie was hoping to study with Mary in the library, but his place had already been taken by a moment. Out of habit, the bully began outlining everything around him with a marker. He bragged to Charlie about how he had charmed this nice girl. Leo invited the group aboard his private jet. Nick had definitely never seen anything like it. Afterwards, the rich man brought his friends to his luxurious mansion. A friendship blossomed between Charlie and Nick. Rebel invited Squishy to go play croquet as well. The bully fit right in with the group. They had a great time. Charlie's day ended wonderfully. He and Mary are sitting naked in the jacuzzi. The guy blushes and tries not to look at her breasts. The couple cooed sweetly until a moment passed between them. He immediately hugged Mary and Charlie returned home empty-handed. The girl was happy to give herself to the bully. That same night, a satisfied Mick came to talk to Charlie. Perhaps he even felt awkward in front of his curly-haired friend. In the morning, Mary hinted to Charlie that she was constantly choosing the wrong guys. Charlie himself realized he was no longer afraid of Mick. Before the students had time to return to college, Leo bought himself a yacht for $200,000. Charlie continued to feel sad and jealous on it. Well, then came the spring formal. In fact, it was Mick who insisted they go. He even rented a tuxedo. However, the rich man forbade the guys to pay the $20 entrance fee, so they snuck into the party through the back. Michelle helped them with this. She asked Leo to give her the key back because she was at risk of losing her job. Okay, I'll definitely give it back to you just later, okay? Oh, please. While everyone was dancing, well, almost everyone, Mick dragged Mary into the dressing room. This really angered Charlie, so Mick decided to talk to him. The bully admitted that he liked living in such luxury. Why shouldn't he go to this college too? For some reason, Charlie suddenly confessed to Mick that he was the one who snitched on him a few years ago. He no longer wanted to hide the truth from him. Mick didn't have time to react. Their attention was distracted by the weirdo who had climbed onto the roof. His classmates were going to help him, but alas, the student still fell. Mick almost went after him. Fortunately, Charlie firmly grabbed his leg and helped him back up. The bully admitted that his whole life flashed before his eyes. On the way to the dorm, Charlie wanted to continue their conversation, but Mick simply hugged him. Curly is a real hero to everyone today. When the rich kid was out with his friends this morning, a distressed Michelle ran up to him. "If you don't give me the key back, I'll get fired and I won't have anything to study for." You see, Leo turned the girl down, claiming he gave the key to that weirdo who fell off the roof. His friends said he was being mean, and Mick suggested the rich guy take the blame. He'd steal the key himself. He'd definitely get away with it. Leo told Mick not to act like a noble savage. Girl stood up for Leo. Mick thinks the rich kid behaved like a jerk and deserved to be beaten. Meanwhile, Charlie read some terrible news in the newspaper. A man was beaten to death in a bar in their neighborhood. The attacker finished him off by jumping on his head. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? It happened the day before the Mick arrived. It turned out that all this time, Dee didn't know his friend was the killer. Mick himself, of course, claims it was self-defense. He told Charlie his version of what happened. "When I went to the bar, I didn't intend to kill anyone. I swear." Mick suddenly admitted that the last few days seemed like a dream. He goes to classes, reads books, and dates a girl. This is so unlike his life. "You know, this is the first book I've read from start to finish." "Charlie, what should I do?" Mick asked. "What would you do?" But Charlie remained silent. The killer ran into the library to talk to Mary and explain why he beat up Leo. But the girl drew the line. She is no longer interested in him. Charlie thinks he and Dee and I should do something. A man died, that's no joke. But his friend doesn't understand what Charlie has to do with it. Is he responsible for Mick and his actions? Nia came up and told him that Mick had beaten Leo's ass. Charlie started looking for Mary to make sure she was safe. Meanwhile, Mick got drunk and got worked up. Charlie learned from a drunk Leo that Mary had gone to the liquor store. They were planning to sink his expensive yacht today. However, Mick found her first. He grabbed the girl and demanded a second chance. No. I could have changed my ways, damn. Mick reproached his girlfriend. Charlie appeared and demanded that the criminal stop. Mary called him for help, but Mick pushed the guy onto the shore. "I knew it was you who snitched on me." "You were the first snitch I ever forgave," said Mick, because thanks to Charlie he had hope. Hope that he could be forgiven. "I believe too," Charlie replied, "until today." As usual, Mick took off his gold chain and began to brutally beat his opponent. Charlie did not chicken out and began to fight back. But what could he do against such an experienced fighter? Mary begs the thug to stop. When Charlie lost consciousness, Mick was about to jump on his head, but he came to his senses and stopped. Tears welled up in his eyes. Charlie heard a police siren and grabbed the killer's leg. However, he broke free and jumped into the water. He finally called the police. But Mick was never caught. He disappeared into the criminal underworld without a trace. Charlie considers that tonight was Mick's final exam, the first and only time he spared his rival.